Namaste, namaste. We're having a good time making it up, playing, hoping that you're enjoying this feminine start to your day. So,
good morning, everyone. We thank you all for all of those thumbs up and support for tuning in. This is day 5 of a conversation that we said we were going to have for 7 days. And so we thank you all for your thumbs up, for tuning in, for your feedback and support and appreciation. We see all of you and we're grateful to share this journey together. So this is day 5 and we have been discussing the hero and the heroine's journey. And I'd like to show you the map that we've shared. Laura has shared so much about in all of these videos. So this is the book that often we are referencing. Do we have the Anana book?
yes, but they can't read it. It's backwards.
Oh, it's backwards. That's
so
true.
It's The Heroine's Journey by Maureen Murdoch.
And then the most important thing, maybe if they take a screen capture.
It's still going to be backwards.
It's still
not
going to
work.
backwards.
Yeah. So,
Never mind. Well, the point is that we wanted to share the visual map of the hero and the heroine. This one's specifically for the heroine's journey. So we just wanted to share that map because sometimes it's just really easier.
It's wonderful to know there is a map.
It's
right?
wonderful
and
to know there's a map.
Basically, this is the separation from the feminine, which we talked about. This is the identification with the masculine and the gathering of allies. This is going on the road of trials and meeting ogres and dragons. This is finding the boon of success. This is awakening to feelings of spiritual aridity and death. And this is the hero and heroine's journey begins with the separation from the feminine and ends with the integration of masculine and feminine. But this is an initiation and descent to the goddess. So this is where the world is right now, right now, with all the crazy things going on, all the terrorism, all the racism. And where we come out of it is in the urgent yearning to reconnect with the feminine. So that's today's subject. But did you want to do a little more with your recap?
I would just maybe show another visual. I feel like visuals are really helpful to really just digest a lot of information that can sometimes be very overwhelming, and even the languaging that we're using. I know some people, this is really sometimes new content. So sometimes visuals, they just speak to our souls more. And so I'll share another visual, which is on my iPad. If you can see that, see this one, they can see perfectly.
Yeah.
So this is a visual of the tree of life with the flower of life in the background. And then you have an embrace of a man and a woman, which is also, you could say, an embrace of our masculine and our feminine, and it also represents the cyclical aspects, the ebb and flow of life, that life is cyclical. It's not a linear experience. So some of the other elements that we've been sharing about are the initiations and this idea of the hero-heroine's journey of the descent. And so when we can see life as cyclical, we can see that when we go through these experiences in life, we feel like, I feel like I've encountered this before, and perhaps we have, but it's actually, we're making a turn on the spiral. So we can see that it's really about just deepening and growth. And two kind of fun ideas came to me yesterday of ways that we can feel empowered and get curious about our experiences in life if we are going through a descent. And again, one of the things that we shared yesterday by one of our favorite people, Reverend Michael Beckwith, is that if your life is falling apart, it's a sign that your life is actually falling together. So when we reach for our dreams, when we say yes to our truth, when we say yes to our intuition, when we say yes to the things that move our soul. In a second here.
There we are.
We're back. So when we really, when we go on our descents, or when we just continue to say yes and show up with courage to respond to how life is calling us all to be these vessels and these instruments for the legacy of love to unfold through and as us, that, you know, it is like continuing to open and expand. And one idea came to me yesterday is that when we go on a descent, we can see it as like an elevator. Like, you could kind of get excited. Like, everyone can get in an elevator. That's doable. That's approachable.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get in the elevator, it's like you're being in your witnessing self, and you're like, okay, I'm getting in the elevator, and this time I'm going to floor like 70, but going down.
Mm.
So it's like, I find that the descents, the initiations are like going into these deeper depths. And with the deeper depths, it's like carving us out so that the Great Spirit and the force and the creative essence of life can, plunge through us. And I feel that that's called grace. So we were inspired to share our morning beginning with that song, Amazing Grace, which is so powerful. And thank you all so much for being here. We feel really inspired and excited.
Argentina is here.
Argentina's
Yay.
in the house.
How fun is that? That's so fun. Well, so what I wanted to speak to today is this rise, the rise from the descent to the ascent. And that rise is called the urgent yearning to reconnect with the feminine. And what I've said before is that the whole separation from the feminine, the separation from the right brain, the separation from the body happened when we took spirituality and sexuality and separated them. And we said, this is not that. Before, really, we went to a God-based religion. When we were in a goddess-based religion, spirituality and sexuality were the same thing. So you had, the temples had priestesses in them who were teaching and training and tending their people, and there were sacred sexual rituals, and there was May Day where people went out and got free. There were rites that worked and developed sexual energy into a spiritual experience so that you had an embodied experience of spirit. Well, if we overlaid this map, which is showing wealth, sex, and spirit, we can see that when you have an embodied experience of spirit, you feel well and wealthy. It doesn't really matter what's in your bank account. When you've had an extraordinary experience of something deeply rewarding physically, whether it's winning something or it's making amazing love or
exercising, even
whatever, yes. There is a wellness in your experience of life, and you feel wealthy even when you don't show it in the bank account. So what we're really talking about is we used to have felt experiences of sexuality, felt experiences of spirit, and felt experiences of wealth. But when you take that unity and you tear it apart, you end up with shame and guilt around your sexuality, so you don't really feel it, you don't really learn about it, you don't really explore it. You end up with a concept of spirit instead of an embodied experience. So you're sitting in a church listening to a lecture thinking you've got to go through some person to get to God. So you don't have you have a angry, fear-based God instead of the loving mother. And you have the feeling of not having wealth because it's a concept. We're going after numbers and status and things instead of the actual experience of wealth. So really what happened is we tore the emotional nature out of life, okay? I'm enjoying having my crown.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
This is given to me from the Amazon. My dear friend Aquinas was down in the Amazon and over a year ago, saw it, looked at it, knew it was mine. He said he remembers seeing it and raising his eyes and seeing the man selling it. I was like, okay, we're going to make a deal on this. So I've always worn it around my neck, but today I put it up there. It's fun, isn't it?
It's really fun.
And I love that this comes from an ancient culture and an ancient craftsman, and yet it is absolutely like New Age, like so full. Anyway, so what we are now in the process of, and so what Rasa was saying is that if you're taking an elevator down, first of all, when you get on the roller coaster,
yeah,
it isn't the climb that's the fun. It's the down.
It's the down.
That's why we go. We go down,
We
right?
gotta go down.
So if
So
you
it's shifting how we feel about it.
Yeah, so if you know that you're gonna be safe when you get down there, you're still gonna be safe, and you're gonna go up again.
Yeah.
Then
It's
the down
inevitable.
is like,
You're gonna go up again.
That's the ride. That's the oh, can I manage this? Am I scared? Yeah, I'm scared, but is it fun? So if we can change the energy around the descent to
Curiosity.
exhilaration and excitement and no resistance, because the more we resistant, the worse it is.
Yeah.
That's the problem, right?
Exactly. I remember when I was, just to give an example
Yeah.
of what she just said briefly, I remember I was traveling and I didn't know where I was going to stay, and I wasn't even really sure how I was going to pay for it even. And I was kind of scared, I was really kind of freaking out. And it was an initiation with faith. So what do we mean by that faith? Well, for me, what I can say is that for me, the experience of it is, it's an initiation with the people refer to these energies as deities. In the Hindu tradition especially, we see these personifications of these things, prosperity, personifications of protection, and things like that. And so when I feel faith, when I have an experience with her, I feel her as a deity, as a goddess, as a divine feminine aspect that is guiding me so she can come into me. And so anyway, I'm in this foreign land. I don't know where I'm staying. I don't even know where I'm going to get the money to stay at the place. And I'm like, holy shit, okay. So I can be the damsel in distress, which is sort of that wounded growth edge, you could say, of the feminine. Or I can just like step into my courageous lion heart, like step into this and shift from my place of fear and anxiety. So whenever there's anxiety, there's something deeper lurking with fear. Worry is an emotional expression of that anxiety. And so I was like going through all of that, and then I'm like, okay, I got a choice right here. I'm gonna shift from fear, I'm in the roller coaster, and I can experience this, and it could be really painful and I can resist it, or I can shift into a place of curiosity and I can just listen. And so when I shifted in a place of curiosity, I was on the roller coaster, but I started to have a good time. And the reason why I started to have a good time is because I started to hear Faith speak to me. I started to hear her say, okay, I just want you to breathe. There's nothing scary about breathing. And what if you just took one step? And I was like, I can do this. And life has now become magical. Life has become magical. And this life is way more interesting to me than living in this static, false life of illusions where I believe something because of my mind or because the outer world is telling me that, instead of being inside of myself and going like, wow, there's so much more than what the eyes can see. So that's my example of being in the roller coaster, of how we can shift from that place of fear to the place of love and go into a place of exhilaration and really enjoy this life in all of her aspects, the ugly, the dark, the light, the beauty, the whole entire spectrum.
Well, I totally appreciate and remember the story and acknowledge you for, like, yeah, the next breath, the next step, I can do that. And it makes me think of Michael Singer's book, well, really the one I loved was The Surrender Experiment, but he says this in the end of the, I can't remember the name of the other one, but what he says at the end is he speaks of the amazing grace that there is when you realize that life knows what it's doing. See, we would not get on the roller coaster if we didn't think the roller coaster knew what it was doing.
Yeah.
We trust the designers of the roller coaster.
We trust
right?
it. So life is the
trust
roller coaster.
the designer of your life, and even when, it says, it's so arrogant to say that when something horrible happens, like there's,
Oh, right.
that's the bitch of it. So my sister wrote a book recently called From Grief to Grace, Finding the Joy in Unspeakable Sorrow, because she lost her beautiful son. Her 36-year-old son was killed in an accident, and, nothing, I can't imagine anything more devastating than that experience. And yet, ultimately, in the 3 years that have passed, the amount of beauty and goodness and expansion that has come out of that has been amazing. It is a fulfillment of her son's life. It's the fulfillment of her life, and life knows what it's doing. So when we can be in that experience, then it is much more an experience of grace and trust. Faith and grace and trust, right?
Yeah.
So I'm bringing this book forward. I wish these,
Maybe we'll look
I
this way.
wish, no, they can't read it. It's backwards.
The Sacred
But anyway, you can
Prostitute.
see the image. And it is a Jungian publication, so it's little and mighty. And it's written...
People are saying really sweet things.
I know, I love it.
it.
That's so sweet. I like it. So this is published by the Jungian, it's a study in Jungian psychology by the Jungian analysts. So this is no small piece. This is like textbook. And I'm going to start reading for about 3 paragraphs, okay? Because there's no point in not hearing this exactly as it was written. So this says, for individuals unwilling to change narrow collective attitudes, especially those based on the laws of the patriarchy, psychological maturity is not possible. The neglect of the goddess results in a sterile, abrasive encounter with life. Dullness and a lack of purpose creep in. A compulsive need for power replaces the joy of love. When feminine nature is valued, not seen as a toy to be played with, but as an energy to be embraced, psychic life blossoms and becomes fruitful, bringing a new perspective. So this is where we are as a culture. This is that awakening to feelings of spiritual aridity and death. Yes, we got the money, the cars, the clothes, the fame, the husband, the wife, the
Facebook likes.
whatever,
And
all of it. But where is the true joy? Are we spending our lives straining for those things and ultimately not being alive
in the magic of
in
life.
the magic of
In
life?
the electric, orgasmic, ecstatic, open to the pulse of life, truly, every moment. And if we're not, there's a deeper part of us that wants to open to that.
And it's really like the question, it constantly returns, well, how do you do that and survive? You know, everybody's doing everything they're doing because they don't think they can survive without money. I mean, basically, the need to make money is driving almost everybody's actions from the beginning of the day that they wake up. They go to a job, they go to work for themselves, they go to work to produce a flow, right?
Yeah, so where I want to speak to that, just briefly, that's been a big part of my journey, and I want to just share what has shifted so radically is the state of doing to the state of being. So a lot of this, what you're talking about, is true. I mean, we all do wake up and we put clothes on. That's material. We're in a house. We're eating food, driving a car. All of these things are material. We do, in a sense, have that practical aspects of ourselves as the human divine life to say, okay, making money, working, and all of that is part of it. So the shift in perspective about what this is talking about when life really becomes fruitful is when we open ourselves up to grace. And when we open ourselves up to really truly co-create in the true divine reality, where our ears and our eyes are open, we are no longer constructing a world made out of our minds. And so it's true that we do have to, eat food and drive a car and all those things, at least right now. That's what we're all choosing right now, the collective dream that we're dreaming together. So it is a shift from this place of mental construct and linear logical thinking to a balanced place where we honor both the masculine gifts and the nature and honor the feminine nature and the gifts. And in that space, we have the awareness where we open up to the greater orchestration of life. And for me, personally, grace, I'm in this incredible experience with grace, and it's really just the beginning, but I can say that my life feels tenfold more fruitful and abundant, and I really feel that is the essence of abundance, is it's grace.
Okay, good. So we'll just have to jump in right here. So This chapter is about the psychological significance of sacred prostitution. Now, I want to just even speak to that concept, right? When I saw that name, I was like, what the heck is that? I could not imagine what that was. But what it really is it is the idea of restoring the value of the erotic self to our lives in a holy way. Not debasing the erotic and then creating addictions to distortions of it, which is what's going on with our porn process, is that we've so suppressed the sexual awareness, like no education. Here's the most important aspect of all life. We don't train our children in it. We aren't trained ourselves. It's illegal to help anybody in that way. It's illegal to...
Well, I mean, times are changing.
They are changing, but we're just saying this is where we've been. This is where we've been.
So we're coming from.
So what has happened is that when you say something shouldn't be, you energize its continued existence. So it's a very tricky economic deal, where you, by saying sex is bad and wrong and you shouldn't do it, and then putting it on every magazine and using it to sell absolutely everything, you create an insanity in the human being that is seeking something that it isn't getting, and all that's being given to it are kind of twisted expressions of the energy instead of evolved expressions. So
part of again is the restoral of that embodied experience.
That's right. So the urgent yearning to reconnect with the feminine is the urgent yearning to reconnect with our erotic energy, which is not just sexual energy, but is creative energy. The sexual energy is your creative energy. So if you're in a life that has no vitality in it because you never dance, you never touch, you never play, you're never alive in the body of yourself, even and including sexually, it's time to reconnect with that energy. And so here's what it says about sacred prostitute. It says, the sacred prostitute is a mortal woman who is devoted to the goddess. Her beauty, her graceful movements, her freedom from ambivalence, anxieties, or self-consciousness toward her sexuality derive from the reverence she holds for her feminine nature. So I encountered this book in 1995, and I began a journey of embracing this energy in a new way in myself, embracing the goddess in me, getting other women to come and get connected to that energy, not having them just be lost in mothering, wifing, and working, feeding
or in the distorted ideas of sexuality and that disconnects women from their
all of that. And it has become a central book that I teach from and value. And I know that I am, as of this day, I am probably 67 3/4 years old.
She just told everyone her age.
I did.
She just broke that.
I did, because
she just broke
the pretend you're not, or whatever. But the thing is, what's so fun for me is that I just looked at a face shot taken of me 5 years ago. I'm more beautiful now. So it isn't happening because age isn't happening on me in the same way it would be if I hadn't stepped into this amazing experience of embracing myself as the goddess, feeding my feminine spirit, and developing what I really recognized here, which is this kind of freedom from ambivalence and anxieties and self-consciousness toward my sexuality. That is such a beautiful thing, and it's why I love to show women their erotic beauty, because mostly women don't see it. Men see our erotic beauty when they make love with us, but we're mostly looking in a mirror, judging ourselves. So one of the reasons I love to take women wind dancing or get them down on silk floors or even do this with you on camera is that we get to see the soft,
energy,
loving feminine, the fluid, beautiful feminine. So women watching, I really encourage you to get together with your sisters and spend time being sensuous beauty together.
And touching.
Absolutely.
And touching. And someone asked a question yesterday. Do you remember what the question was? He was saying, and we could probably dive into that tomorrow because it was about
it's a really big question.
But really, you know, what you're getting into is just this energy of like sharing love through our presence, through touch, through movement, through eye gazing and intimacy, and how we can really feel more fulfilled and begin to access those deeper parts of our heart and really, you know.
So women watching this, be with each other, and men watching this, be with women this way, and take the sexual genital focus out of the game. You gotta make that which has not been properly separated cannot be properly joined. That's a quote, Carl Jung quoting an ancient alchemist. That which has not been properly separated cannot be properly joined. So we improperly separated spirituality and sexuality, and to put them back together again is we're going to have to properly separate sensuality from sexuality. And how I encourage doing that is through the idea of liquid. If you're using your tongue, if you're paying attention to the specific genital or even nipple parts of the body, you're in the world of sexuality, and the body will kick in and you'll be gone down a path. But if you don't go there, if you let yourself you could be with a woman you don't know at all, and as long as you create a safe container with her and say, we're not going liquid, we're not going liquid.
Sharing appreciation.
Then you get to have
presence.
Glorious experiences. You actually get to
participate
love
in
each
an
other,
alchemy too. It's
have
an
a
alchemy,
beautiful
sharing
feeling, and say namaste at the end, and no strings, no cords,
strings attached.
Nothing has happened.
So it's shifting our agenda from expectations and attachments, which is the source of all suffering. And we suffer so much in our relationships. And, you know, we're creating awareness around those illusions and what the attachments are and what are the patterns, you know, behavioral, emotional, mental patterns that lead us into these habits that create attachment.
That's really the question that Arvin asked yesterday. And
okay.
So we can, because when you come out of the urgent yearning to reconnect, you come into the, she says it's healing the mother-daughter wound, but I say it's healing the spiritual sexual wound, which is the source of the mother-daughter wound. So we will speak more to that tomorrow. And
yeah.
Yay, please share with your friends. We're on an adventure.
We're on an adventure, unfolding grace, really.
Yeah, and we hope to bring, you know, truly my greatest dream is to impact our economic system in a way that allows all of us to live much more in our creative, balanced, feminine, masculine, united self.
Yay.
So.
Thanks so much for tuning in. We're really grateful. We appreciate your support. If you have any questions to inspire this journey that we're all sharing, we'd love to hear from you.
And it's looking like 11 o'clock is more our normal broadcast time. For me to go wind dancing, get home, clean up, do all the stuff, 11 is probably when you can count on it. So try that.
Yeah, around 11.
Okay, bye-bye.
So see you tomorrow. So much love.
Bye.